Welcome to Unprecedented and Unmitigated Khaled Fattal broadcast. With special interest, greed, and corruption polarizing politics and geopolitics globally, with democracy reduced to a mere marketing label, with our freedom dying before our own eyes, with elected governments and public officials no longer serving the people and failing society and humanity, with ordinary people paying the ultimate price with their lives, livelihoods, civil liberties, and economic prosperity daily, with fellow Americans deceived for decades by the Uniparty. As a citizen, a top business decision maker, or a national leader, what are you going to do next? Hello, and thank you for joining Unprecedented and Unmitigated Khaled Fattal broadcast. I promised you in the past, or I said I was going to do, but to me that's a pledge, that's a promise, that I'm going to address the root cause why President Trump launched the war on Iran by the United States with Israel, and it is not what you've heard before. Yes, there's the project of Greater Israel. There's a belief that he's got this religious vision that he's going to be an emancipator of something. All of that is factually true, and it's been discussed before. But what I'm going to bring to you, you probably have not heard before. Third part here is I'm going to go on a limb and make another prediction. And it's along the same lines of what I've already posted in the last 2 months, that the architecture of the global world order and its map is already starting to formulate as we speak. And this would not have happened had the United States not suffered the strategic defeat in Iran. And I will tell you why in a moment. So, with that in mind, let's dig in. Now, I'm going to dig into why and what is the true motivation behind Donald Trump launching the war on Iran. We have heard by experts all over, Epstein file, very legitimate, it's part of that. The Greater Israel Project, it's all part of that. All of those are fundamental, but all of those are, especially the Greater Israel Project, serve a benefit that is outside of the United States for Donald Trump to feel the benefit in America, so he can become viewed as the 21st century founding father of New America. That's the illusion of grandeur he has. Donald Trump would not have launched the war if it was purely to serve Israel. He wouldn't have. Even though they built his ego that he might be the new Messiah. If you've seen videos of him praying in the White House and his people around him, they've really made him believe that he is on a religious mission. He's going to actually, you may recall he tweeted something, or he said something in the news. I remember this vividly. He said he's so happy that something that's taken 3,000 years in the making is about to happen. 3,000 years in the making does not pertain to America. 3,000 years to making, he is referring to a fulfillment of a promise that is purely the fabrication of Benjamin Netanyahu about the new state of Israel. Okay? You can believe that it existed before, but it certainly did not exist the entire 3,000 years. And so many groups of people existed back. That doesn't mean we bring them all back, or they have legitimacy to come back. But Donald Trump said that. But that's not the reason why he would go and launch something. Something else was grand for Donald Trump in addition to all this. And this is what I believe it is. How many times have you heard in the last year, and since Trump took office in his second term, you've heard talk about third term, third term, third term. Well, we know the Constitution is clear that you can only hold office as President of the United States for only 2 terms. Same thing. I was a candidate for California governor, and the term limit is 2 terms, either subsequent or separated, but 2 terms, that's it. But then we've been hearing for the last year from many sources about a third term, a third term. And often that voice comes from the pro-Israel, the pro-Zionist, AIPAC, talking about, and I remember trying to remember exactly, it'll come back to me. It'll come back to me. But in essence, third term became a topic of conversation, and many of Trump's supporters from that group were actually talking that it's doable. Now, doable, technically, anything is doable, but you do require to actually get this to be an amendment to the Constitution. And an amendment to the Constitution requires a 2/3 majority vote. So America could declare that we're going to be called now the Trump USA. You can call it whatever. You can call it the Cal-Fattal USA, whatever. But it won't fly anywhere. It's not going to happen unless a bill is put on to Congress to vote on, and both houses vote on it, and it needs to gain a 2/3 majority. So, my dear friends, the strategic goal of Donald Trump had always been, he launches the war on Iran. He got sold on it that it will be decisive. It's a matter of days. He succeeds. He becomes the first decisive American president who did a major war and created change in the Middle East. And then subsequent to that, many Arab countries will come and sign the Abrahamic Accord. And now all of this, if it happened in the sequence he visualized and he was sold it can happen, a week maximum, 10 days maximum, Iran is gone, okay? In the Middle East now, there's no force, zero nation that is capable of slowing down Israel. Now, many Arab countries that have already signed the Abrahamic Accord are put into place. Your only choice here is you've got to sign or else you're going to get squashed. So the plan for Mr. Trump was a decisive victory in Iran, Abrahamic Accord, more signature of Abrahamic Accord. He is seen as the victorious Caesar in America, and now any support to any candidate from his party in the primaries will lead to more seats won by the Republican Party. And now he has a solid chance at having the 2/3 majority in Congress. He has that now. If he succeeds in doing this, Congress can now be moved to actually amend the Constitution and permit a president to have a 3rd term. So his plan was to create the unprecedented in America, ladies and gentlemen. This was Donald Trump's motivation. And how I can actually further evidence this is, how often did you see when the war in Iran was not taking place the way he had planned and the way he was sold by Benjamin Netanyahu, you could see he was visibly angry. Like, why aren't they doing this? Why is this happening? Because this is what narcissists who want something to happen the way they want it, on the terms, even though what they're expecting has no connection with reality. That's how they operate. And then, if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, a new narrative started being discussed. CNN, Fox, international news about more Arab countries, Gulf nation countries, were going to start becoming signatories to the Abrahamic Accord. Do you remember that? Only recently. Well, he was trying to salvage the opportunity of successes in the primaries that would actually help his candidates coming up to November, so that the plan is salvageable. You get it now? Of course, how far did, and what the most important most important nation that needs to sign the Abrahamic Accord for Trump to say, we're almost there, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia, when the narrative was put out from the White House and from other sources about Arab countries are, wait a second, that's exactly the word I recall. I told Arab leaders they need to sign the Abrahamic Accord. He can't even tell his wife when he is preferring to have dinner. Let me be polite here. Can't tell his wife what to do. Do you think he can tell the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia after he's seen 38 times of lies, and he's seen how both Biden and Trump abandoned their allies, and how subsequent administrations have abandoned allies in the Middle East and around the world when it's no longer convenient? I posted about this recently. Statement from the Saudis came something along the lines that the only time there will be that the Saudi Arabia will agree to any peace arrangement is a full functional, or something along those lines, Palestinian state, and the return to the 1967 borders. Do you think there's anybody in Israel who's going to agree to 67 borders? So Trump is delusional in what he was thinking. However, he really was hoping that the Abrahamic Accord signatories, adding more countries to that, could give him the appearance of success, that his plan in twisting the arm of Iran has made Arab countries recognize why the US is the power to be around with, and Israel is the power to rally around with. And now that becomes the narrative in the United States for the primaries and the elections in November. And that for him, this should be recapturing the success plan to help his party gain more seats in the House, in Congress, and therefore prepare the foundation for a third term. More evidence as well is, if you have not heard, we've posted stories on this, is that he is not building a ballroom in the White House. He is building an AI data center right underneath. And it's become a major, major story. Most people didn't know this. I've become aware of this. We posted stories on this. Go to Celebrity News and Google the term ballroom, and you'll see it. Now, a president in the United States who is building a ballroom underneath which is a data center, AI-empowered data center that is built by Larry Ellison and his company. A emulating the exact data center, because the price was supposedly like $250 million. It's the same price tag of what Larry Ellison built for Israel in Tel Aviv, and it cost about $250 million. It's an identical one. Now, if Trump is building a data center under the White House grounds, do you think he's doing that while he is thinking he's not going to be there in 3 years? Think about that. If you knew there's an imminent nuclear war and you need to protect your family, and you go and you get a loan and you go and build a nuclear bunker underneath your house so that if this nuclear war happens, you and your family can be saved. Imagine this is what's going on. That's what you're doing. And you've just built it. And the threat is still there. What's the likelihood now you're going to move from this house to another house anytime soon? Zero. Why? Because your investment is based on you being here to be protected. Donald Trump is building the data center under the White House with the full knowledge that he plans to remain being the occupant of that White House for a third term. That to me is scary as hell, because that means if a Trump is able to alter the Constitution and make himself president for a third time, America is going to be in such a downhill, because we're going to be even more captured than ever. And by the way, the name of the company, Larry Ellison, is Oracle. But here's another scenario that should even scare the living lights out of you even more. What if Donald Trump is building this data center? Not what if, he is building this AI data center underneath the White House. But what if he's doing it with the full agreement, or with the agreement of some of the leadership in the Democratic Party? In fact, I put it to you, Donald Trump has already done that, because the data center that's being built is meant to serve the deep state that he and his party and the Democrats and their parties, who actually under the same umbrella, that serve their own causes. And under those conditions, the data center, it doesn't matter if Donald Trump dies tomorrow, another member of that same philosophy and ideology would come and occupy and continue the journey. This, my dear friends, is even scarier, because now that's the deep state in control of us at the toppest level in the country. So this data center being built under the White House is critical. Trump is not planning on leaving, and highly likely, maybe, who knows, maybe he'll make Jared Kushner, Netanyahu's emissary in the Trump family, be the person to guide that. In essence, I want to put it to you here. We've addressed why Trump true goal of the war was to cause enough success for him and his party that will be showcased in more seats for the Republican Party in the midterm elections, so that he has enough votes to create an amendment to the Constitution for a third term. This is his this was and has been his true plan. Iran not capitulating and fighting him definitely is now members of his party are standing to lose their seats rather than win new seats because of this. Plus, his attempt to try and create a narrative for more signatory countries to the Abrahamic Accord further evidence this. And the building of a data center, an AI center under the White House only means the occupant of that White House is going to be at the top of the heap decision maker, and Donald Trump is not going to play fiddle to anybody else to come and take his place. So he's planning on the third term, unconstitutionally. And the price is he's put the lives of our soldiers on the line. He's put the lives of our service men and women on the line. We have suffered the most magnificent of a strategic defeat overseas. Our position around the world has been tarnished irrecoverably. And on top of that, he has not achieved his goals to serve his own political ambitions, to become the new founding father of New America. My 2 cents. I hope this resonates with you. Take it on board. And if you need more information, reach out. We can discuss this in more detail in private. And at the same time, don't forget to subscribe, free or paid. Some of these episodes will be for only for paid. Others will be available for the general consumption. And in the meanwhile, always remember this: kindness is stronger than greed. Speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye. To learn how to address this topic as a risk, to assess and determine what solutions and methodologies can be utilized to manage these risks or to mitigate it, feel free to reach out to the MLI Group or any of its survivability subsidiaries. And don't forget to subscribe to Unprecedented and Unmitigated to get alerts of the latest posts. In the meanwhile, look after yourself and remember always, kindness is stronger than greed.